In the New Testament, there is a particular passage in Luke chapter 1 that tells us much about children in the womb. If you turn to Luke chapter 1, verses 39 and 40, we can read of Mary traveling to visit with her relative Elizabeth. Now rising up in these days, Mary traveled into the hill country with haste, into a city of Judah, and entered into the house of Zacharias and greeted Elizabeth. And in verse 41, we learn our first important thing about children in the womb. It says, "And it happened, as Elizabeth heard the greeting of Mary, the baby jumped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit." Notice that the baby is counted as a distinct individual, separate from Elizabeth, separate from Mary. In verse 40, we read of how Mary greets Elizabeth. Verse 41 tells us about how Elizabeth heard that particular greeting. But then, the baby does something different. The baby jumps in her womb. The text continues in verses 42 through 45. "And she shouted out with a loud voice and said, 'You have been blessed among women, and the fruit of your womb has been blessed. And from where is this to me, that the mother of my Lord should come to me? For behold, as the voice of your greeting came into my ears, the baby jumped in my womb in gladness. And she who believed is fortunate, because there will be an accomplishment of the things which have been spoken to her from the Lord.'" Verse 44 again mentions the jumping of the baby. So not only is the baby an independent, separate individual from Mary and Elizabeth, but also the baby is able to do actions that are separate from his mother or from Mary. And finally, it mentions how the baby jumped in my womb in gladness. In some way, Elizabeth knew of an emotional response. Primitive, perhaps, yes, but an emotional response of the baby in her womb nonetheless. This very well could have been by inspiration of the Holy Spirit, but it tells us something else about the baby, that the baby has an opportunity, a capability to have emotion. And these are three important things that we should keep in mind whenever we think about the baby in the womb of a woman and how precious that individual is. Please, if you are a woman who is expecting a child, please be mindful of what you may do to that child, to that individual in your womb, while he or she or they are staying in your body. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and have a nice day.